Okay,
Great.
Molly.
Welcome. Good morning, everybody. I don't know whether we formally call to order when we don't have a quorum or not, but good morning and welcome. And we'll figure it out. I think our only scheduled vote today was on the minutes anyway, so I think we'll be fine. I do want to just welcome everybody here. I think we still do need to do a roll call, right? Even though we're not at a quorum. Amber, do you want to do the roll call?
For Molly Weston Williamson.
Here.
Ava Bermudez Zimmerman.
Present.
Adrian Cochran will not be joining us. Sal Luciano has not joined us. Sheila Hummel has not yet joined us. And Justin Zartman.
Present.
Thank you, everyone. Molly, we do not have a quorum.
Thank you to everyone.
Molly, we have just one moment to introduce our member of the public. She's actually, I asked her to join us. This is Jenny Ray Clay, and she is the executive director of, I'm going to get it wrong, but she's actually working on the cannabis initiative. She's leading the cannabis initiative in the state. So she's starting up a new agency. So we've been inviting her to see how we do it. So she's joining our meeting this morning because she also has a lot of outreach and engagement to do. So we thought we could share whatever we learned so that she can be successful as well. So Jenny, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but welcome.
Yes, I want to say thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me to sit in and hopefully steal some ideas and some thoughts from you. I am the interim executive director of the Social Equity Council. The Social Equity Council is in charge of standing up the recreational adult use cannabis industry in Connecticut. My council specifically is responsible for the social equity piece. So we are making sure that folks who have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs have an opportunity to equally participate in this industry, stand up businesses, take advantage of other opportunities that come from the sales revenue of the recreational use of cannabis. So we're just starting. We're less than a year old. I'm less than 6 months into the position. Not doing anything else. It is a heavy lift, as I'm sure most of you know as well. And again, I thank you very much for allowing me to participate. And Andre, you have been just simply awesome, and I can't thank you enough for your kindness and generosity.
And Molly, if I may, Sheila has joined us and we do now have a quorum. Good morning, Sheila. Welcome.
Okay, well, welcome to our esteemed member of the extended team. I won't even say the extended team of doing great stuff for the folks of Connecticut. We're so glad to have you, and please do let us know if we can be helpful moving forward. And since we do have a quorum, I think we can move on to review and approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to approving the minutes? Any abstentions from the vote on the minutes? Okay, I believe the minutes are approved. And with that, we're going to move on to our updates from Jessica.
Thank you, Molly. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen. Ooh. There we go. All right, so since we just had the board meeting last week and I showed you all of the data, I thought this week I would do some updates on some of the other newer initiatives that we're working on. And so first and foremost, I would like to ask Nancy if she can give us an update on the podcast initiative, which she has been working tirelessly on.
Sure, no problem. Good morning, everyone. Jenny Ray, welcome. Yes, so actually I have recorded 3 podcasts. Andrea was the first one, and I just sent a few more edits to TapeWorks. Bill Ahern is the person who is working on the podcasts with me. We go to the studio and I help edit because that's just my nature. I'm a little bit A-type. when it comes to that. So Andrea's is the first one. I talked to the governor, and I had one on organ donation with Representative Jeff Curry. I talked with Hartford Healthcare. She's an RN living donor coordinator. And I also spoke with Caitlin Bernabucci, who works for the New England Donor Services. So that was a really big podcast. There was 4 of us. It was really great. So I think the latest that we want to launch this will be February 7th. We're working to get a podcast button on the website, so people can go to our website and there'll be a podcast button like on top where there's events, and then we're trying to work on that, trying to see if we can get a player there so it can be played on our website. And we're working with Buzzsprout, which is really the #1 podcast platform, and it goes everywhere. It goes to Apple, it goes to Spotify, it goes to really wherever podcasts can be heard. So it will be everywhere, which is exciting. And I'm just really thrilled about it. And I think I'm planning for the labor chairs. I'm planning for one on family and domestic violence. I'm planning one on foster care. I'm planning one on adoption and one on military, and then we'll go forth from there. But those are my plans as of now. And yeah, so I'm very excited about the whole thing. And we're going to start promoting it. That's why I think February 7th would be the best launch date. And I think I'm going to have 2 per month.
Thank you so much, Nance. And I think that, as you heard, Nancy has a ton of great ideas and great guests. I would say if you have any suggestions for folks that you think might fit nicely, please send them our way. And we're hoping that this will catch on and it will be a long-term project for us.
Ava, if you have any ideas, and I know you have a lot of contacts, please feel free to nancy.barrow@ct.gov. I would love any.
The
Rolodex
was churning in my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of people, and I would love that, really.
So Nancy and I were talking, and she's done the podcast on organ donation, but we also know that organ donation is a specific challenge in communities of color. So we really, and I know at least one person of color who's had an organ donated to him. And so what we were thinking is that we could certainly have that person on, because it certainly addresses a different audience, and just the whole idea of healthcare in general. And so we're just thinking about where we can go and how long we want the series to be. And Nancy, it was all her idea. She's done an extraordinary job. We just continue to feed her ideas, and she is such a gifted interviewer.
Oh my gosh.
She really, and so much so that when we interviewed Jeff Curry as the organ donation, many of you know him as a legislator who's been very public about his kidney transplant. So he and his living donor were on, and later, he texted me later on, like, it's the best time I've had, in a studio, like forever. So she does an exceptional job. So we're excited, because it's nothing any other state agency is doing either, which is really great.
And the series that Andrea is talking about is Facebook Live. I think we're going to do some Facebook Live episodes. And I also want to do like Ask Andrea. I haven't even asked her this, but where I will get questions actually from people who are going to United Way, and I will ask her the questions for those people. That's a thought process.
Okay, and I'll be doing that too. There you go.
And she has an interview today with Christine and Salt at 96.5 TIC AM. At 10:15, so don't you forget.
I will not be late. I will be.
Okay.
Yeah, and Nancy continues to do a really fantastic job of getting Andrea on with radio stations across the state, not just the ones with whom we are advertising, but ones that we're not advertising with, which is often, kind of difficult. Sometimes they don't want to give you that airtime if you're not, actually an advertiser. So Nancy's done a really fantastic job and continues to get Andrea out there. So I think that the podcast, as you've heard, it's going to have a lot of legs, and it's going to go into a lot of different formats with the social media, with the longer format. So we will send out an email when it launches with a link so that you can go ahead and listen. So thank you very much.
And subscribe, please.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, let's see. So just wanted to share this fantastic picture of, I think Nancy called it the Power Posse. So this was from our press conference on Friday at the AFLAC Connecticut offices in Windsor. So we, of course, were very pleased to have the governor, lieutenant governor, our labor chairs, Andrea and Teresa White, the president of AFLAC US, who made the trip up from Atlanta on that very, very cold day and was very eager to get back to the comparative warmth of the South afterwards. But we've had some good media coverage so far. I've listed the various outlets. We're even picked up by some things that were a bit surprising, like the Coalition for Elder Justice in Connecticut, which is great. It's any way we can reach different audiences, we certainly are appreciative of. So I think that that was a success, and just wanted to share that with you. And then I wanted to update you. I think you've probably heard us talking, gosh, it must have been back in October, November, about the fact that we had put out a request for proposal for a public and media relations firm. And so after extensive interviewing, we chose actually 2 partners, and we asked them to come up with a collaborative proposal for us, which they were gracious enough to do. And so we have started our work with them. The 2 agencies are called Ethical Influence. The principal is Carter Johnson. She's based here in Connecticut. And then TJM and Company Media Boutique, and they actually have presence in New York and also in Houston, Texas. And so we really liked the collaboration of the 2 because we feel like they will be able to not only really help us with our local outreach, but also with Tiffany, Joy, and Tony's national connections. We're hoping that we'll be able to elevate our message and get it out into the wider media community, especially with the recent news around national paid leave and the fact that we are, we're doing it while it was not something that's going through nationally right now. We're hoping that we can just use this platform and their connections to get out. So we've had one strategy meeting with them earlier this week. We have another on Friday. And then they'll actually be getting into the meat of putting together their suggestions and tactics. So we will keep you updated as we're going through that, but just wanted to make you aware that they are now a part of our extended team, and we're very pleased with that. I'm just going to move my Zoom bar over so I can see my words here. So another update as far as small business support. I think it was in the December Outreach and Engagement Committee meeting, I mentioned that we had done a survey of small businesses, and we're just trying to gather some more information about ways that we can continue to support them. And so one important finding from that survey was that while there are definitely folks who love the webinars, appreciate the webinars, we certainly have no intention of stopping them. There are folks who would like to get that information in shorter, more bite-sized pieces, if you will, because they don't necessarily have time to take in 45 minutes to an hour out of their day. So we are going to be working on a series of videos that will break down the content of the webinars into probably about 10 4 to 6 minute videos, which can be on our website, and that folks can go and find a particular topic that they're interested in, and they can get that information in a short little snippet. So we're currently working on the curriculum, if you will, the topics that we want to make sure are covered. And we're working with one of our media, marketing vendors who will be helping us with the creative execution of that. So we'll continue to update you as that progresses. Just in terms of media plan update, since we are into Q1, I know it's our, Q3, I think, but in the real world, Q1. So our media plan updates. So we are continuing with what we have been doing in terms of statewide radio presence, our billboards, which we've actually added a little bit to, our buses down in the lower Fairfield County area, and some of our select print campaigns to reach particularly some of the non-English speaking audiences. We're also going to add a TV component with NBC and Telemundo, which is great. We're continuing with our robust digital efforts. And one tactic I wanted to inform you of that we're adding is geofencing around hospitals and community health centers. So just in case anyone's not familiar with geofencing, that's where you essentially draw a virtual fence around a location. And when someone goes into that location, we're kind of able to tag their phone, for lack of a better way to say it, and then deliver ads to that person's device. So we think this will be a good tactic because we're not only going to be able to reach patients and their caregivers who are going into those facilities, but also healthcare providers, nurses, which has proven to be, you know, a somewhat tougher audience to reach, especially given the nature of the current, you know, with the pandemic and just how overwhelmed healthcare facilities are. So we're adding this tactic, and I'm, you know, excited about it. And I think that it'll be a really great addition. And then we're also leveraging some of our partnerships. So for example, the White Eagle newspaper, the Polish newspaper, I had asked them if they would do an article for us. And so they were willing to do that. Same with the Inquiring News. So we'll be having some articles in some of those different publications. And then just this week, Connecticut Lawyer magazine asked if we would do an article, thanks to a great webinar that Andrea did for the Connecticut Bar Association. So we'll be working on that as well. And then this is on behalf of Jacqueline, who was not able to join us this morning. So these are her updates that I just wanted to share in terms of legislative outreach that she's working on. So she has briefings scheduled with the House Democrats, House Republicans, and Senate Democrats, and is working on scheduling with the Senate Republicans as well. She recently did a user experience demo for State Rep Aurora because he was curious to have a better understanding of how that system worked. It's my understanding that that went really well. And so certainly something that I'm sure she's willing to do for any legislator who wants to really see a hands-on example of how their constituents would interact with the system. She also met with the other quasi-state agencies, and they are working on an outreach plan just to kind of make sure that legislators are aware of all the different workings and initiatives of the different quasi-agencies. She has a meeting scheduled with the appropriations co-chairs on January 28th, just to touch base about the work of the authority. And she is working on a legislator newsletter that will go out monthly, and she is anticipating that the first issue will go out the first week of February in advance of the start of the session. And so with that, those are my updates for today. Happy to answer any questions.
I mean, I just want to say how awesome all of this is. I think the podcast is super innovative. It's clear that the whole team has just been doing an incredible amount of work, and particularly being really creative about the challenging times in which we're doing this. And I think it's, I would be remiss to not lift that up, which sounds like I'm leading into a criticism, which I'm not. I had one question about sort of bringing together two of the slides. I think in the listing of who's coming up on the podcast, I didn't hear talking about small business owners, but it may be that that's already in the works. I know you've got some really awesome small business owners already identified as champions.
Yeah, I think we're going to really focus on small businesses for one podcast for sure. And I think a lot of the questions that we'll probably do on Facebook with Andrea will be surrounding businesses and the struggles that small businesses have, because that really is a focal point for us right now.
Awesome. Way ahead of me as always. Do other folks have questions or stuff they want to lift up before we move on to the next item?
Not a question, but a comment, piggyback off of Molly, that to help you not reinvent the wheel, we do have a list of business leaders that volunteer to testify in support of the legislation. So those are a good, mixed group that would be happy to I'm assuming would be happy to continue the conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I meant to mention when I was just doing the slide to introduce our new PR media relations firms, Molly would like to just introduce you to them because you obviously have so much background that I think could be really useful for them as they're helping us to shape the campaign, and just would like to put that out there for any other committee members who would be interested to speak to those folks. I'd be happy to introduce you. Of
course, anything to help.
Thank you.
Anybody else or anything else we should talk about before we move to the next item? We're being very efficient today, which is always nice, especially on a short week. Okay, so with that, I believe since Jessica was our Jacqueline today for legislative updates, I believe we are next up is there any old business anyone would like to raise? Hearing none, is there any new business anyone would like to raise? Hearing none. Anything else we should talk about or consider before we move to adjourn? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. Oh,
that's okay.
I saw Justin's lips moving. I'm like, I don't know who's gonna go first.
Your pick, Molly.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Is there
I'll
a
second?
Great. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I believe the ayes have it, but are there anyone opposed to adjourning? Okay, then I believe the ayes have it. And thank you everyone for a wonderful meeting, and we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you,
Thank
Jamie.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.